In this video, we are going to discuss how to register for MyMathLab. Even if you've registered for MyMathLab in a different course, you still need to register for this class's MyMathLab. To do so, it is super important that you go through our Canvas course. The reason why that is so important is because we want to sync up MyMathLab's gradebook with Canvas's gradebook. You should not ever need to go through Pearson's website to register for MyMathLab for our course. You got to go through our Canvas course. So 3 steps to get to Pearson's license agreement screen. Once we see that license agreement screen, that's how we know we have officially begun the MyMathLab registration process. Step 1, you're going to sign into Canvas. You can get to this Canvas login screen by going through your Atlas account and clicking on the Canvas link through that, or you can simply type in online.valenciacollege.edu into your browser. You'll use your Atlas username and Atlas password to sign into Canvas. So there's step 1. Once you are signed into Canvas, step 2, simply click on our class on your Canvas dashboard. So I'm just going to pick any class. Don't worry if this is not your class, because I set up all of my online math classes in a very similar fashion. But again, step 2, click on our class from your Canvas dashboard. I'm going to go into student view. You obviously do not need to click on that. This is what your screen is going to look like automatically when you sign into our class in Canvas, or at the very least, it'll look similar to this screen. Okay, so now we're ready for step 3. Here is where you have a choice to get to that license agreement screen. Your first option for step 3 is you can click on modules on that left side, that course navigation panel. So click on modules, and then after you click on modules, scroll down and click on any MyMathLab homework assignment whatsoever. So I'll just pick a random MyMathLab homework assignment, and ta-da, there is that license agreement screen. So now I can just follow the prompts from here to register for MyMathLab. The other way, the other step 3 that you could do if you don't want to go through modules and if you want a larger screen, this is personally the way that I prefer, is I click on MyLab and Mastering on that left course navigation panel. And then after I click on MyLab and Mastering, I click on this yellow-orange button. It'll be one of the 2 colors, either yellow or orange, depending on what device you're using. So I'm going to click just once. Do not double click on it, but one click on Open MyLab and Mastering, and look at what comes up in a brand new tab. It's that same license agreement screen. So I'm going to go through this way because, again, I prefer the larger screen by going through MyLab and Mastering and clicking on the yellow-orange button that appears on the middle of the page. So now, either way that you've gotten to the license agreement screen, let's go ahead and see what some of the screens are going to look like from here. So after you read through the license agreement, click I accept. And then the next page that appears, it depends on your unique situation. If you've ever used a Pearson account, if you've ever created a Pearson account before, maybe you've used MyMathLab, my Stat Lab, my Science Lab, my whatever lab, for whatever previous course you've taken where you've used a Pearson account, you've already created a username and password. So you would just use that. You would type in that username and password. You'd sign in with that. And then after you sign in with that username and password, you would be taken to the payment screen. If it's been a while and you've forgotten what your username and password was, there is a forgot your username or password link below that option. If you are brand new to Pearson, you need to create a Pearson account. That's what I'm going to do before you can get to the payment screen. So I'm going to click Create. Now, here we go. I'm going to go through this screen. We recommend that you use your Valencia email address. Now, my particular Valencia email address is already registered with MyMathLab, so I need to think of a new one. I'm just going to create a random one. I'm just going to write duck, bird. Just random animals here. And then Valencia email address ends with @mail.valenciacollege.edu. I know it's a long one. And then we recommend that entire email address is also your username. So not just the front end of the email address like with Atlas, but the entire Atlas email address, rather, is also your username. Now, when you go to create a password, be careful. They are very strict. Pearson is very strict with the guidelines. So we need to use at least 8 characters in our password, at least 1 letter, at least 1 number, at least 1 capital letter. We should not repeat our name or username, so I could not use duck bird in my password. And here's kind of an odd requirement. Do not use spaces or special characters. So you cannot use @ punctuation marks like periods, hyphens, underlines, etc. So I'm just going to create a random password. And please check to make sure that you have a green check mark here. If it's a red X, you will not be allowed to create the account. So it's super important that you have a green check mark beside all the boxes where you're typing. And then first name, I'm just going to write duck, and then bird for the last name. Yep, they even have a security question, a security answer. Just make up something random here. But be very careful when you're reading through the boxes below to see what to click on. So we have to click on the first box. I agree to the terms of use and acknowledge the privacy policy. Only some of you will need to click on the second box. The second box says 1 or more of these applies to me. I am enrolled in middle or high school in the United States. I am under the age of 18. I reside outside the United States. So the only students that should be clicking on the second box are dual enrollment students or international students. That's it. So I'm going to leave the second box blank. The third box, I do not wish to receive information about other Pearson products and services that may be useful to me. I do not want a bunch of advertisements from Pearson sent to my email, is why I clicked the third box, and then create account. And then no matter which route you went, if you've already have a Pearson account, you've signed in with it, or you created the brand new account like I just did, either way, here's the last screen. Yay, before we are officially registered. It is the payment screen. If you are waiting by mail for the access code to arrive, once the access code arrives, it'll be in a little tiny booklet by mail. You would click on this access code button, and then you would type in the random sequence of capital letters that are inside that booklet. Please note that if you are using financial aid money, you have to go through the bookstore, which means you have to order the code, unfortunately. If you're not using financial aid money and you're not going to go through the bookstore, you do have the option of using a credit card or PayPal account. Notice there are 2 different options you could sign up for. So if you want the full access for up to 2 years with this particular ebook that it is tied to, you would choose the more expensive option. The ebook that I have my college math and liberal arts math courses tied to is Blitzer's Thinking Mathematically 7th edition. Now, if you pay the more expensive price, any class that uses this ebook, you will have automatic free access to in the future. So after paying this one-time more expensive fee, you'll be able to register for free for any class in the future that uses the same ebook. Also, if you have to withdraw from this course for any reason, you'll be able to register for this class's MyMathLab for free if it's tied to this ebook. So that would be the only reason why you would want the more expensive option. At the time of this recording, it's around $105. The less expensive option at the time of this recording is $70 around, but it does fluctuate in price. This MyMathLab each semester, I have noticed. But you'll notice with the less expensive option, you only get access for 18 weeks. And if you wanted to take another math class in the future, that's tied to the same ebook, you would have to rebuy the access code again. Also, if you withdrew from this course and you took the course again, you'd have to again pay for the access code as the drawback to choosing the less expensive option. If you're waiting for your access code to come by mail or you're waiting for financial aid money to come in, there is a temporary free access for 14 days. It's on the very bottom, or near the bottom, I should say. Tiny font, like 8-point font blue. You can click on that. And then you would just simply click yes, and you would wait for it to process, and you would be registered. And there would be a 14-day timer that would go down as you're waiting for either the financial aid money to pay for the access code through the bookstore. So maybe you're waiting for it to arrive by mail or whatever the reason. It would give you 14 days to at least get in there and work on some of the assignments for free. Now I'm going to click on no thanks because I don't want to actually register Duck Bird into my class, but you would click on yes. If you have any trouble, if you go through the temporary free access and then let's say your access code arrives by mail, and if you have any issues figuring out how to type in the access code from there, please contact me, let me know, and I can walk you through the process from there. And if you have any questions or concerns whatsoever, please do not hesitate to reach out to me and let me know.